Hey, this is Brook. Let's talk about Relic Guitars. I know people get passionate about the topic. I've watched many online arguments about it, and I thought maybe we could have a little discussion. You can feel free to comment and tell me what you think. I'm going to show you a few guitars. This is a 1964 Fender Stratocaster. It has been refinished. When I got this, it had just been refinished. In fact, I remember I could stick my thumb into the paint and it went in a little bit. And I was like, whoa, this is very fresh paint. So I'm not really sure what it was painted with. But over time, it's got some tiny cracks in the paint. I got it about 1990, 91. It's got some wear marks from strumming that are pretty ugly. Lots of little chips around the edges. And notice that there's no big wear mark where I strum. And I've played maybe thousands of gigs with this guitar. I don't know. I'm just a working musician. But notice how there is no wear here. And on Relic guitars, they often pay a lot of attention to sanding that corner down to the bare wood. Well, playing gigs for 35 years on this guitar has given me some wear patterns here, probably from the rivets on a Levi jeans. That's pretty deep. Maybe a belt buckle. I don't really wear belts that much. And here it's worn down where the screws hold the back plate on, so that is dipping in a little bit here, dipping in there. This I can feel. These are pretty deep, this wear, but the edges, there's something from the case, I think, a lot on the rear, and this is from the strap, leather strap, I think, or that is for sure. And there's some more dings. I do actually see some wear coming through right here. So it looks kind of thin. So this is like a Fender white. This is an original green guard Fender. So we're going to look at a few guitars. I think the neck was refinished. You can see some dark wear on the edge. So maybe that was before it was refinished. You can see a little bit of dark wear along this edge, probably before it was refinished. I suspect the neck could be polyurethane. I don't know. Looks like they went, I assume that's a new Fender logo 35 years ago. It looks kind of wrinkled and crinkled, but I really don't know. Gold hardware is worn down. You can see gold here, but the knobs do not have any gold remaining on where the fingers touch. Same with the bridge. You can see a little bit of gold, but not much. This was replaced, this was replaced. So that's maybe what a really worn guitar looks like, played for 35 years with an unknown material. I don't know what kind of paint this is. So let's look at some other guitars. So there was nothing very controversial about that 64 Strat. I don't think we need to argue about that. This is where the controversy begins. This is a Relic road-worn Telecaster from Fender. So this is not real old. Let's see, what's the serial number? Oh, 2018, made in Mexico. So this is a good old yellow Telecaster with a black pickguard. But you'll notice the back of the neck has been sanded down. So that's a Relic treatment. The hardware looks slightly aged. Ooh, I see some wear along the edge here and some kind of discoloring, more little, they're kind of like a textured, like it was chipped away with a tool. The headstock has got some kind of discoloration, and most noticeably would be the spot where it was sanded on the back of the body, yet it feels very smooth. You cannot feel that. These chips on the edge, I think, are from the factory, or they could have happened later. There's some chips here that look pretty cool. There is some checking in the finish. That's fine lines where the nitro finish shrank and cracked. And we can see a little bit of that here and a little bit here. So it's got a lot of nice little chips along here. You'll notice, if you can see up close, that there's a layer of white. It's yellow, then white, then the natural wood. So you'll see kind of a gradation from the top coat to the probably a primer to the raw wood. And I really like that. To me, that's super cool, because that's the way a real Fender should look when it gets old. So also, the pole pieces on the pickup look to be a little rusted. There's a tiny bit of rust on the bridge. These screws are not super shiny. It's a very light relic treatment. On my road-worn Telecaster, there's a pattern of wear on the fingerboard where it was sanded away to look just like finger wear, like on an old Telecaster. So this is where people get upset, because it does not look brand new and shiny. Why would you damage a brand new guitar? I would guess that people that say that have probably not played that many old Telecasters and handled them and noticed the natural wear on the old Telecaster or old Stratocaster. It's really, each guitar is going to be aged differently when it's naturally done, but here it's artificially done, and that's where the controversy begins. And again, most people will say, if I'm going to have any wear on my instrument, I will do it honestly by playing gigs. The problem is those guitars are going to probably have a polyurethane finish, and we'll get to that next. Let's look at a polyurethane finish. Next we have a made in Mexico 60s reissue Fender Stratocaster body with this Lake Placid blue. I did have a 65 Strat in this color, and so this is a tribute to that guitar. But that guitar had a Telecaster neck on it from 68, so I got a 68 Fender reissue Telecaster neck and put it on, and it just sort of works. I've got like some aftermarket pickups and bridge locking tuners, so it's kind of performance oriented, and it's been refretted. So this neck has been sanded down. So you might consider that a relic treatment. I don't know. It just to give me that wood feeling on my hand. So it's kind of a custom thing. Or does it simulate wear? Is it honest or dishonest? I don't know. Also the fretboard. We took the gloss finish off. It's bare wood fretboard, so it's got some finger patterns. Also refretted, and a bone nut was added because I wore out the old frets. So I played this guitar, if I have to play like out in a blizzard or a rainstorm or like a sandstorm or a tornado or a swamp or some sort of a horrible place, I'll bring this guitar. This guitar's been through hundreds and hundreds of gigs. But notice how there really is no wear on the body, except that kind of chip, which I must have hit something, but the edges are near perfect, even though this guitar has actually been kind of abused a little bit. I kind of mistreated. I don't baby it. And this poly finish shows no checking, no cracking, just a few tiny dents. It's almost, to me, it's brand new. If that's the polyurethane finish, it's going to be extremely durable. I assume the neck is poly. Let's see how that's one thing I look at a guitar is the very end of the peg head and just see what kind of abuse it's gotten. Has it been rammed into a lot of things? And it's got a little wear and discoloration, but of course the hardware is like new. The pickguard screws are like new. It's a new guard, you know, maybe 20 or 15 years ago or whatever, but it's a mint green guard, so it simulates that, like my 64, which has, the guard was originally white and it turned green. So this simulates the aged guard. So it's got a little bit of that mojo, but really to me it's like a brand new guitar with that nice poly finish. So some people love the poly because it's perfect, and the nitro is kind of nasty because it becomes discolored and it checks and it chips easily. So it's different preferences. I kind of like the nitro myself, but poly does a job. Let's look at a Gibson Custom Shop Tom Murphy aged 64 SG Custom. So this is probably 3-4 years old. I bought this one because I sold the rights to a record that I did, that I thought that record was long gone, long dead in the water. In fact, I sold 2 albums and got enough money to have a little fun, and I decided to buy this SG, which was a little bit unnecessary. So this has quite a bit of checking from Murphy Labs, Gibson Murphy Labs, Tom Murphy. A lot of checking, a lot of the lines going this way, which to me is very attractive, because one of my first guitar gurus, Dean Morris, had a black SG and it had checking. And to me that brings back a really intense memory and feeling about how important Dean was to me and my friends. We really looked up to Dean, and that just seems so amazing that his guitar was so old and had aged like that. So to me, the checking does trigger an emotional response. To other people, it probably looks like garbage. I get it. So this is a nitro finish, and you pay the price with the nitro because you will get, I'm looking, little dings like this and that. Tiny dings will happen. I try to be very careful with this guitar because it was very expensive. Yet, the nitro will chip. And let's see how the headstock is doing. One little corner is dented in. I'm kind of clumsy. I played this guitar last night. Tiny bit of discoloration here, but otherwise it's fairly perfect to me. This guitar was listed as a demo because there's a little bit of sort of grubbiness in this crack here. I can hardly see it. There was minuscule imperfections, so they stamped the word demo right here because of that. And I think it's a relic, man, who cares? But so it was discounted quite a bit. So this does have aged hardware. Let's see, is this, the pickups look a little cloudy and dingy. This looks kind of cloudy, so, but otherwise the screws look pretty new. It's just a mild relic job, and but it's still kind of I'm kind of scared to play this guitar because it's so expensive and it's so delicate, and that's just a problem with an expensive guitar. If it was more like aged and beaten up or naturally beat, I'd probably be more comfortable playing it. So that's an issue with me, is if a guitar is so perfect and delicate, I'm going to be a little bit afraid to take it out and play it and enjoy it. So that's why I do like some Relic guitars, because they're already beat a little bit for you. Let me see if I can find a couple more to look. Alright, it's another custom shop guitar. This is from Fender. It's a Jaguar and it's supposed to be a 62 or 63. It's got the nitro finish, which was fairly perfect when I got it. And look, we do have a ding started there, and maybe another ding, but that really hurts my feelings. I hate it. I hate it when a new guitar gets dinged. Let's see how that headstock's pretty good. This was Daphne blue, but it turned green. Is that a green guard or is that white? I can't tell. So, looks like the hardware is all pretty new, but this nitro finish, again, just has a greenish quality, which I believe the nitro gets a little bit of an amber look to it over time, which amber over blue turns green. And this does have wonderful checking patterns. They're very subtle. Along the edge is more blue. And then it's that kind of pea green. I kind of wish it was blue, but it's a one of a kind, really, to me. So yes, we have checking. It's very small. I don't think the camera's going to pick it up. Not much checking on the back. Some kind of dark smudge marks. This is really one of the best Jaguars I have, by the way. I really love this guitar. It's got the vintage frets. So, is it a relic? I don't know. I think it was supposed to be slightly aged at the factory. So it's not, but I'm not sure. It's about a 2013. I think it's just aged on its own, really. So it's, again, turned from blue to green. It's got the checking, and that nitro finish is pretty delicate. So you got to be super careful with them. If this guitar was already worn and beat and aged, I'd have more fun playing it, really. But as it is, I am a little nervous taking this out. I have to really think about it. So I take, let's say there's 10 Surf Zombies gigs. I'm going to take this out, maybe one of those. And let's say there's 20 or 30 of the drive-ins gigs. I might take it out to one of those. So it stays home a lot. I like to record with it. The nitro is pretty delicate. That's the big point I seem to be making on this particular guitar and others. Let's look at a couple more. Hopefully this is not too far off the topic, but this is a real 63 Gibson SG Junior. I replaced the bridge, somebody replaced the tuners and the nut. It's been refretted and it was missing the knob, so I put these on. So is this a relic guitar? Not really, but it does show the checking. It does have the natural wear. Again, notice how there's no crazy arm wear here. But it does have some big dings. It's got kind of a crack here, there. It's got big, ugly chops. But the interesting thing I want to show you is the headstock was broken a long time ago. And I believe this is the repair paint, this more yellowish color. The serial number would be right here. It's very hard to read due to the thickness of the finish. Okay, that's all fine and good, but what about this? This is a different color. Mr. Brilliant here, who had this on a guitar stand. Everybody says, hey, you want to use a guitar stand? Here, use the guitar stand. I'm like, I'd rather not. I used the guitar stand. This was sitting on it. My cable wrapped around my leg. Then the cable wrapped around the guitar stand. I walked forward, pulled the guitar forward, hit like this, and again, the headstock was broken off. So I had it repaired. Really not that expensive, not that big of a deal, believe it or not. They can just glue it, clamp it, sand it, make it good. Maybe put some filler in. The problem, obviously, is the paint. So the guy that repainted it, or fixed it, used this kind of pearly, real white paint. And I saw it and I go, huh, that's weird, but okay. And I took it and played it. Well, look at the pattern of wear. It was painted all the way up to here. So now we have this light white paint. This looks like original paint along here. And then we see some yellowish along here, and then we see some bare wood. So there's all kinds of layers coming undone. So when people say, I'm going to wear my guitar naturally, I'm like, yeah, I know. Me too. I wear my guitars naturally. I play them a lot. I wore the paint off the back of this neck. Look how it's blending. The paint has disappeared. It was up here, and it's slowly, I'm wearing off that new paint. It's kind of a gnarly, and you can see the original, the old repair, and the new repair paint, but it's really getting dark, and you can see some bare wood over on this side, I guess, right along the edge. This edge, you can see a lot of cracking and crazing. Very interesting. So, one reason I like Relic guitars, if it's done reasonably well, is it does tell it simulates like a story. It reminds me of these old guitars that I love. It's a recreation. Yes, I know it's been done in a factory, but it reminds me of these crazy things that happen to guitars. So it kind of gets that aging process kind of moving on. To me, a brand new, shiny, perfect guitar, I just can't relate to it. It seems dead to me. I need some wear. I need some evidence of rock and roll. I do so many rehearsals, recording sessions, gigs, traveling, drinking, partying, getting crazy, throwing things around. Wild crowds. Lots of stuff happen. Lots of things can happen to a guitar. So when I see those little bits of wear on a guitar, it makes my imagination just takes off. I just think about, wow, think of all the things that guitar's been through. Think of all the, this was probably around when JFK was assassinated. This was probably a brand new guitar then. So this guitar has seen a lot of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And here it is. It's still perfectly playable. And I don't know, is it a relic? I think it's a real relic. It's a relic of an old time, a long time ago. So that's why some relic guitars I do like. But when they're done really badly, it's pretty disgusting. So I think it comes in shades. Different shades of gray, Some relic jobs are just so corny and so badly done. Some, like the Fender road-worn Telecasters, I think for a production guitar is just fine. For the price, it's good. But some of them are ridiculous, and I don't really have any ridiculous ones on hand, but I did have a Joe Strummer Telecaster, a guy in Florida makes. I did a quick video on it, and the more I looked at it, the more it was terrible. I mean, it had thick layers of black paint, just globs of it, and it was just sanded so stupidly. Another thing about relics, I have seen some bad relics. I bought a Rickenbacker from Bob's Guitars in Cedar Falls just because I felt sorry for it. A kid had started sanding on the back with really heavy gauge, heavy grit sandpaper, and then was chipping away at this edge with probably a screwdriver. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is terrible. I have to rescue that guitar. So I did purchase it, and while I was at it, it had really thick finish on the fingerboard, and I didn't like that, so I took that off. Since it had already been butchered, I took off that finish and went with the natural finish on the neck, or just raw wood. Installed large frets, new nut, different pickups, and put a Bigsby on it. So since it was already beat, I just customized it. And I ended up selling it. I just wasn't playing it. But that's kind of a weird relic story I thought I would just throw in. Let's look at a couple more guitars. Alright, it's another interesting little instrument. Somebody wanted to know if I would buy this, and I was kind of like, oh man, I don't need it. But when I saw that metal pickguard, I'm like, that's cool. So this is a 60s Japanese Tesco Tisco Del Rey. Pretty stock. I think I might have had to replace the tuners. I don't remember. But the back of the neck was sanded. And when I saw that, I was kind of like, bummer. But it actually feels amazing. It's very smooth. This guitar plays super good. It plays perfectly. And it intonates perfectly, just with a straight saddle. So obviously it has a lot of dents and stuff. But again, no big wear here. You know how people sand that down every time? Very corny. But sanding the back of the neck, I guess if it's sticky, not always a bad idea. I kind of wish it was left alone, but it does feel so smooth. It's got a lot of wear around here. You wonder where that wear comes from. Probably a strap? How about all that? Probably a strap. I think the straps do more damage than the arm. So if you are planning on wearing through your finish with your arm, let me know how that's going. I'm very curious. You might have maybe a skin. Maybe you need to see your dermatologist if your skin is like sandpaper and can wear through that. But I've never been able to do that. Fun guitar. All right, let's look at another guitar. This is a 1994 Gibson J100. It's not a relic from the Gibson factory. It's just a normal guitar. But I have reliced it. So when people say, bro, I want to put the wear on my guitar naturally, I'm qualified to know about that. I don't know if you can see very good in this light, but the back of this neck I'm pretty proud of. I've worn all up along here, worn the finish off from just teaching lessons. A center part is bald, and along this edge has got a nice thumb mark where the finish is gone. And there's a lot of dents. The headstock on this guitar is chopped up from me hitting things with it. Students have rammed their guitars into this part. I remember specifically when they did it. It's got a lot of checking. The checks go this way. The finish started coming off here and here. And it's cracking there. The finish is cracking here, and it's just a mess. And the frets are worn. So yes, I know what it is to wear a guitar down by playing it. And again, there's no wear here where the arm, actually a little bit, but there's no giant thing there. You know how people, it is a little crazy how people sand that part of the guitar down. But this is a real, you know, when people say that they like honest wear, this is what it could look like. And every guitar is going to be different. So I am really interested in the wear patterns on guitars, as well as relic guitars. Alright, let's look at one more guitar. And finally, this is a relic, a real relic. This is the kind of guitar that makes people angry. So this is from JMT. It's a parts guitar that I put together. If it was a real Fender, the story would be that it's a sunburst body that was sprayed ice blue metallic, which you can see a little bit around here, around there, and under these chips. Over that was sprayed Lake Placid blue, which I love. And it's got a shell pickguard, which probably would never be on a real Jaguar. So this is like a make-believe, a fantasy 60s Jaguar that was painted 3 colors at the factory and worn through with that gnarly arm wear right there, which is pretty unrealistic. On the back you'll see some vicious scraping, nasty belt buckle wear, and you can kind of feel it a little bit. Here's some, looks like a rat was chewing on it along this edge. That's pretty unrealistic. Lots of wear here. Kind of a ridiculous amount of wear here, bare wood. The neck is nice and new, so that's kind of a weird contrast, but I don't really care. The hardware is aged, so it's kind of the bright chrome look is gone, and it's just dull, aged, old hardware, which probably used some chemicals or maybe just bury it underground for a couple of years or something. Who knows? But to me, this is fun. I saw this body on eBay. I got a little bit out of control bidding on it. I paid too much. To me, I just love that blue. I love the metallic, the ice blue metallic, and the sunburst I can give or take. But I do play a sunburst Jaguar, so it kind of spoke to me. So I think relics are personal. Some of them might make you upset. Some of them I think are gross. Some of them I love. So I think it's going to be a personal thing for each person. But still, I'm interested in your comments. What makes you angry about relics, or do you like them? Or can you see both sides of the story? Have you ever played a vintage Strat or Telecaster or some old worn out guitar from the 50s or 60s or maybe even older? Have you ever examined some 70s guitars with wear? Those are interesting because it's some sort of a polyurethane finish or some experimental finish, a baked on finish or something, and maybe that wore in a weird way or took on a bizarre color. So I'm just really interested in how guitars age and the stories behind them. And yeah, Relic is artificial. It's a shortcut, but to me, I'm more comfortable with a beat-up old guitar because I'm a beat-up old man who's played gigs for like 50 years. So this is like my face, kind of beat up and worn. Beat up and worn. I relate to this. Brand new shiny. It's like a brand new baby. I don't know. I like more beat up looking things. I like vintage things. I like aged things. So it's a personal thing. What do you think? Let me know.